and so I spent a lot of time with Mike. I'd go over there in the mornings. He lived in La Crescent at the time, and I'd just sit there for an hour or two with him, and he'd show me stuff, and I'd work, because I didn't, I love Mike, and this is not any diss to Mike, but you can imagine I didn't want that to happen again. But lo and behold, Bo comes in. Bo's still working with Winger. Busy. Bo's got 8 billion plates spinning, and he's recording our second record.
And that was your first album. So after having him come in, you guys are now thinking, okay, so we got another guitar player in the band essentially coming in here, doing this. The solos all sound great, now we're going to go do our next album. About a year apart, it's going to be released. So
right.
Going into it, were you more prepared for what was going to be pushed in your direction as far as Mike coming in and being a part of it? Or
yeah, I mean, it was kind of Groundhog Day to a certain degree. Number one, after I think we did 290 shows on that tour. So playing that much, you get better. Playing some of the stuff, obviously we had to play some of Mike's stuff, and I had to learn it because I played a lot of it. And so I spent a lot of time with Mike. I'd go over there in the mornings. He lived in La Crescent at the time, and I'd just sit there for an hour or two with him, and he'd show me stuff, and I'd work, because I didn't, I love Mike, and this is not any diss to Mike, but you can imagine I didn't want that to happen again. But lo and behold, Bo comes in. Bo's still working with Winger. Busy. Bo's got 8 billion plates spinning, and he's recording our second record. And off we went. The one thing I can tell you is that if you listen to the two mixes, the rhythm guitars on the second record are up a little bit more. The rhythms got better. A lot of that, what you hear, like the riff in Cherry Pie, that's punched and really punchy and palm muted at times. Not a lot of people play that right. There's one way to play it, even Eric, believe it or not, struggles with that because, I played that one riff when you hear it come out after the first big chorus is punched and really punchy and palm muted. And Eric it's not comfortable for him.
It's funny because what you just said couldn't be any truer. There are ways to play the rhythms right, and not many people realize that with certain songs. And around that same period, the same can be said for Winger's 17, because his riff, a lot of people do not play that right, even though they see the side out in front of them. I got this. No, there's a trick to that. He does a lot of the palm muting too, to get that nasty riff going, which was, I guess, about the same time, close to where you guys were. So he was working with them, and you got those riffs going on with Reb, and then you got the riff for Cherry Pie. And again, I said it earlier with you, the rhythms in Cherry Pie, people need to go back and listen to it under Janie's vocals because your phrasing is great. It reminded me a lot of like Eddie Van Halen riffage in there, because you got these little nuances going on underneath it that sometimes you got to really listen for, or you'll miss it. And you won't realize that, but it all blends in so well at the end of the day, So
I don't know who wasn't influenced by Edward and my God and Randy and Gary Moore from my genre, So if it's it would never even compare to that guy. But if it gives you an inkling of, wow, that's kind of an Edward thing, that's I hail Edward forever. I mean, those three guys are gone, and that'll never happen again.
Appreciate that. Now I guess we'll hop right into the second album. We'll go right to 1990. Fast forward, Cherry Pie, huge hits, and now we're gonna go right down the line. First track, Cherry Pie.
CC DeVille.
I heard that. How'd that come about?
That record was baked and done, and the president of Sony, Donnie Einer, wanted a big hit. And he had just signed Aerosmith. And I think they did Love in an Elevator. I think that was on Columbia, on that record that they did for Columbia. And he called Janie and said, the record sounds great. We were going to call it Uncle Tom's Cabin. It was already big. He said, I need another song. 4 a.m. in the morning, Janie wrote Cherry Pie in about 15 minutes. The lyrics were on a Domino's pizza box. Jerry and I were already like in Denver playing in a golf tournament for Gary Morris, the country star Gary Morris. Celebrity thing, making some money for kids. And we got called back to record that. We did all the rhythms. I did all the rhythms with Eric on that record, or on that song. And the Poison tour was coming around, and it had been so hard for us to get on a tour on the first record pass. Like, we got the last, like, I don't know, 80 dates with Motley Crue on the Dr. Feelgood tour. But before that, we were doing clubs or theaters on our own and not getting any love. Like, the Skids were, boom, popped right out on the Bon Jovi tour first thing, right? We worked our way up through the clubs, back and forth across America a few times, 100 people in the clubs, come back through 6 months later, full boat. So we wanted the tour with Poison, and they were our friends,
Right.
They used to come out and see us in the clubs and get on stage and drink our beer while we were on stage. And so we thought if we brought Cecil in, he could go back to the guys and say, hey, listen, we got to take Warrant out. We got to take Warrant out. And whatever worked, we went out on that tour, which was a lot of fun until it wasn't. So it's all history and funny stuff. We all laugh about it now, but that's why we brought him in, and he did a fabulous job. He was hung over out of his mind. So just being there that day, he played my Felix the Cat guitar, and he was with BC Rich at the time, so it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Talk about guitar players who get a really bad rap. Post a CC DeVille video and just watch the hate pour in. I'm like, why?
That's too bad. That's too bad. The guy sold over 20 million records. He's a fabulous guitar player. Like, I just talked to him a few weeks ago. He's getting ready for the stadium tour.
Yeah.
We're tight. We live about 20 minutes from each other. And he said he was tapping into his Randy Rhoads, history, because he's got to write it like a 2-minute solo to give the band a break,
Oh my gosh.
3 or 4 minute solo. So I'm guaranteed he plays his ass off. He's got a different tone. He used to use those old crates, the stealth heads, the solid state heads.
I remember all the ads with him in crate.
Yeah. And he's just got a rack full of them, and that's his tone. But he's a good player, man. I'd set him down next to anybody.
God, I have to see them for that. I'm pretty sure they're coming to Orlando. I have to see that tour. Hopefully, I'm close enough where I can get some good footage of that solo.
Call me, and I'll get you two in contact, and you can go record him.
I love that. That would be incredible, because he's
a fantastic human being. One of my close friends.
That's very cool. Okay, dude, thank you. Absolutely, 100%. Another thing. So you did that. CC comes in, lays down that solo, it leads to you guys going on the road, and then comes the next track, which is, I think in my book, one of the heaviest riffs. It's just, the groove is just, when the thing kicks in, it's just, whoa, okay. Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yes. Great solo, great rhythm, great song, great story, great music video. Tell us about it.
So who did the solo?
Who did the solo?
Myself and Mike Slamer.
Okay, where and when?
So it's about 50-50. The first roll into it's Mike, then the jump up's me, and then the outro's Mike. So it's Mike, me, Mike.
Got it. Okay. I think I can maybe tell where it changes slightly, but not much, because it flows so well together. And you know what? I think that also speaks to where you were advancing as a guitar player, and you're playing after all the tours before that on the road. You released the first album. You said you were, fine tuning all your chops. You go to that second album. If you listen to that solo, kind of all blends in, and it's kind of harder to hear that it's separate. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's showing.
Yeah, I was taking lessons from Mike, and his phrasing is amazing. And to this day, he'll step all over me. But when you work with a guy that tight, and then you're just passing the guitar back and forth, it's pretty easy to make it seem seamless, but it's not when you're recording it at all.
Right. Great song though. I mean, and then when that solo kicks in the video, I'm like, I got posted that a couple of times actually over the course of the past 6 years. People all love that solo. Next up, I Saw Red.
Mike
did that. Okay. I Saw
Red.
Okay. Great song too. My gosh, all these lyrics. I think Eddie Trunk said that that Janie Lane was one of the best lyricists of that generation.
He was an amazing writer. It's unfortunate that he's not here to write more music.
Right? Incredible.
Sucks. Yeah.
It's hard to believe. And then you got, but he did have children though that were left.
Yes.
He has, right?
Yes. I think one of them, his youngest daughter is a singer. So that would be fabulous if she's got some writing chops.
Oh my gosh! Right? Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Next up, Bed of Roses.
Bed of Roses, moi.
That's you.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
You see, this is what we have to know. Do you remember the guitar you played for that solo?
No.
Probably
It was either Felix. It was either my Felix or my Roadrunner. Those were my two main guitars at the time.
Okay, perfect. And then we go into Sure Feels Good to Me.
Sure Feels Good is Mike.
Okay, Mike nailed that one. Okay.
Yep.
And this next one I saw on the Arsenio Hall, felt the need to bring this song up in the interview, asking what it meant. And you guys are like, at all the songs you pick, why you want to pick this one on live TV? So that would be Love in Stereo.
Love in Stereo, let me think, is Mike.
Yes. Okay.
Love in Stereo is pretty self-explanatory.
But he needed you to explain it. I was watching the other day and I see him like, why do you want to pick this song? Like, don't you understand? You already know. Well, I know, but it's kind of an adult album, Cherry Pie, you know? I still think it's funny. When you look back at shows like that, Arsenio Hall was pretty cool because he would respect all genres. You can tell he really got into it, and he wasn't scared to just throw out questions like that, you know?
I saw a videotaping of Megadeth on there the other day, you know, when Marty was in the band, and he was a friend of rock and roll. I remember rolling onto the Paramount lot and seeing him walk out of his trailer. It was, oh, what's up? You know, he was just a great guy. Still is to this day. Very cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I remember he also interviewed Jason Voorhees. I think only he could make that work.
Somebody wants to know what we're talking about here.
Who's that? Let's see if I can get in there. Oh, it's Eric. It's Eric. Oh, okay. You're gonna mention Arsenio Hall and Love in Stereo. That's it. That tells you everything. All right. I'm gonna try to get this a little quicker, then you get back to that. Number seven, we got. I would say, we should get Eric in this, but I don't know if he'd be down. We could always bring him in.
He's cool. He'd always come in.
Oh, damn. Well, I could bring him into this. We could. So I could send him a link and give me his email. If he wants it.
No, he could be running. He's running around Texas somewhere.
All right. Okay. No worries. Next up, Blind Faith.
Blind Faith. Moi.
Wow. Such a great song, dude. Such a great song.
You know, that song, I don't even remember how we wrote the solo. I don't know if I wrote the solo with Mike and I played it, or if I just wrote it, or if it was a comp solo, but that is all me.
Wow. Gosh, it's a great.
So another hit song that I played on. Go figure.
Dude, right?
Solo on.
And no one, again, people are really finding this out for the first time from the source. They didn't know
right.
really. Everybody likes to hop on the bandwagon of trying to disparage talent. They're like, oh no, well here's a flaw. They didn't do it, so enjoy that. But now when you really feel that, see,
there's a lot more politics to the situation. I mean, like we were talking prior to getting in here, is that you've got two types of producers. You got a producer that just wants to get the record done, and you've got a producer that really wants to bring the spirit of the band down on tape or down on hard drive. And Bo, I think, was so jammed up with so many projects. Winger, Warrant, back to back. He did those first two records. He had Rat somewhere in there. And no fault to him, but I think he was one of those guys that just wanted to get the project done. Whereas when we went third record with Michael Wagner on Dog-Eat-Dog, it was more like, let's get the band and how the band is down on tape. So there's two different types of guys.
Right. And that was a killer album too. Dog-Eat-Dog.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That was a fun one.
Hits you right out of the gate. You guys did Machine Gun live now. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. We did all your bridges. We did Hole in My Wall with the talk box, and
I think you guys are gonna do Bonfire too, right?
Bonfire. We played that last weekend. Where did we play our last gig? To help me, Decatur, Illinois.
There it is. Yeah, we actually
Bonfire.
About that. That is
good crowd in Decatur.
Would you agree that Illinois has a serious metal fan base out there for these concerts?
There's a thing called the heart of rock and roll, and I'm telling you, it's in the Midwest. I don't know why they call it the Midwest. It's in the middle of the country, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, all that whole Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Dakota, all that right in there. People are loving it, man. And they come out in droves. The Skid tour is doing with us and the Skids, and either at Quiet Riot or Alita Ford or Winger on it, is doing well. We're having a lot of fun, and people are coming out and getting, 2 or 3 hours of hit songs and loud rock and roll. It's fun. You were there. know?
It was incredible. And you know, it's funny. I used to live in Chicago. I used to go to the Arcada Theater, and
Yes.
the crowds that show up, Winger was like sold out. I'm like, this is you don't see that. It's incredible. It's so awesome to see that fan base. You know, I remember never forget this too. Just to agree with what it was you were saying, I went to New Mexico. One time I was traveling around there, and I go to a gas station there, and I kid you not, I walk in. First thing I hear is Queensryche. I go,
great, fantastic.
What? They listen to Queensryche? I gotta move here. This is incredible.
Yeah.
You hear that at a gas station, you know you're in the right place. You know, that's incredible.
The metal is the music.
Totally is. Okay. Next song and dance man.
Me.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So as you can see, there's a lot more of me on Cherry Pie than there was on the first record.
Right. So you were putting, I wouldn't say putting your foot down, but you've come along a little bit further as a player. You got probably confidence from also being on the road, playing these things. You're ready to hit it in a different way.
And Jimmy Hoyson, the engineer, took his time with me while Bo again was in the back vocal booth taking some care of business with Winger. To be honest with you, I mean, you know, Bo really enjoyed working with Janie, and Janie was talented and great, and him and, you know, Steven, who sings all those high vocal harmonies on the first two records and every record we've done since then. He'd work a lot with them. He was more of a vocal guy and song guy with Janie than he was with me on guitar. So a lot of the guitar that was done on this record and recorded was done by Jimmy Hoyson, even the stuff Mike played.
Wow. Okay. Got it. Wow. Okay. Didn't know that. So the next track would be You're the Only Hell Your Mom Ever Raised.
Mike Slamer.
Mike Slamer. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You know that one out. Okay. And going into, are we there yet? We are there. This song I love because literally just the lyrics are so genius and it flows so well. Mr. Rainmaker.
Great song, gives me chills. Love it. And that's so all me.
All me. You.
All me.
Oh my God.
That was I remember the solo because I played it for about 2.5 hours and my fingers hurt so fucking bad. And Bo was in the back booth and he was on the phone and he'd roll the window open and listen and go, do it again, click, and go back on the phone. And I'd have to go back through it with the engineer. And I remember a few times Jimmy looking at me and going, that's a take, that was great. And then, you know, do it again, you know. So I don't know if it was what it was, but I remember that very vividly. So yeah, that solo is all me.
Remember the guitar you used to play it?
It had to be the Felix guitar.
Right?
I use that a lot.
Wow. I wonder who has that guitar. I know there's a guy who's an avid 80s guitar collector, and he's pretty much bought everyone's model off of them.
Mancuda?
Yes, I think that was him. Yeah, he's got like everybody's signature from back.
I just sold him my destroyed Roadrunner BC Rich that I broke it on a stage. Yeah, I did. It's in pieces, and he's having Dan Lawrence at GMP put it back together. And I think they're going to bring it to a show in Orange County that we're doing with Skid Row this summer, and I'm going to play it for a song for him.
Oh my gosh, I need to do a tour of his collection.
He's got him, man. He's a good dude. He's got a passion. So good for him.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's going to a good home at least, right? Guy who appreciates this stuff.
Absolutely.
See. Train. Next track.
Train. I played the first solo. Mike played the second solo.
Got it. Okay. Wow. And then this solo was huge on this track. This longest solo, probably the longest one you guys ever did. Ode to Tipper Gore.
Ode to Tipper Gore was Janie Lane, Jerry Dixon, and I think Eric Turner.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. And I got Game of War, which was a demo. Then I'm just going through demo tracks here. Eric
played the stingers. Mike played the solo.
Wow.
But there's an original version of that where I played the solo. There was a demo. There was another demo of that didn't make the record. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And then another demo would be The Power.
That would be all me.
All you. Okay.
Yeah. And that was a producer named Irvin Musper. He did some Scorpion stuff.
And when you guys got over to Dog Eat Dog in '92, Mike Slamer was done. He didn't do anything on those. That was all
right.
You guys.
Yeah. Mike, because we didn't use Bo, we used Michael Wagner, and that was all us. And I can just cut to the chase on this. On the on Machine Gun, prior to the solo, all those stingers are Eric, and then I played every other solo on that record.
Wow, that is
So,
great, dude.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, that whole album is like a masterpiece. So all the songs, you could tell that the musicianship was just climbing.
The writing was amazing. He was in a different place, and it was just, you know, it was good. It was a lot of fun making that record. And that was the difference between Beau Hill and Michael Wagner, was that Michael wanted to get the band on tape. He just didn't want to get the record done. And I can't emphasize that more. I mean, there's, you know, there are machines that just go in and get records done, you know, pulling all the players from Nashville. Let's get all the A players. And, you know, at the end of the day, when a band gets a record deal back then, you know, it's 4 or 5 different fingers with different fingerprints, you know, and when you put it together, it's a fist. And sometimes, you know, somebody will stick in an extra finger, and it, you know, it is what it is. It's history. I really thank you for letting me clear the air. Again, Mike Slamer, amazing person, amazing musician. Beau Hill, you know, produced 2 records for us, and we thank him for that. They were successful, not just because he produced them, but because there was a massive machine behind us in Columbia Records, and all the people that had to do with it at radio, all the radio DJs, all MTV for those first 2 records. There was a lot of people that had to do with making those successful. And Mike was part of that. So hats off to Mike. And I just really appreciate you letting me clear the air up. And now hopefully everybody knows.